is a bedroom community of Beersheba, very beautiful homes, and they're building a neighborhood there where the people that we've been supporting from Kibbutz Kissufim who were displaced after their kibbutz was attacked on October 7th will be moving to shortly. And to think that that's where I was just a week ago, and the miracle of modern transport, of course, is that I can be in Omer last week and be here in Evanston, Illinois, a week later. Not so for the Israelites as they marched through the wilderness. They didn't have the miracle of plane transport. And so we read about them as we conclude the book of Numbers. These were the marches of the Israelites who started out from the land of Egypt, troop by troop, in the charge of Moses and Aaron. They set out from Ramses in the first month, on the 15th day of the month. Then they encamped in Sukkot, and then Etam, and then Migdol, passing through the Red Sea, and encamping in Marah, and so on. 42 places are named in this week's Torah portion. 42 places where the Israelites encamped on their way from Egypt to Israel in the course of their 40 years of wandering. And these 42 places that are named are considered to be so important that in a column of Torah, there are 42 lines to remind us of each of the places that we encamped along the journey. Why is that? Why are each of those places that we encamped as we wandered from Egypt to Israel so important? Maimonides, the great medieval scholar, teaches that people might have doubted the miraculous nature of the journey if we didn't know all the places we had been. That if we recall all the places along the journey, that we would remember God's bounty, the blessings we received in order to make the trek through the wilderness. This was harsh and unforgiving territory, and the Israelites never would have made it without God's providence. How was your trip to Israel? People ask me. Well, it's a little hard to answer that al regel echad, on one leg. But as I was thinking about this Torah portion, instead of getting into all the details, I thought that perhaps what I would do this evening is just share the blessings of the journey. Like the Israelites recount in this week's Torah portion how God was there with them on their journey in those 42 encampments. So I'd just like to share with you the way that I felt blessed over this last month while I was in sabbatical in Israel. I think many of you know that I was in Jerusalem for the month. I had a fellowship at the Hartman Institute. The Hartman Institute is well known for having outstanding scholars from all different denominations in Judaism come and teach. And I'm part of a group of 30 rabbis from the United States and Canada and Israel who were chosen for this fellowship to study in the month of July for the next 3 years and a week in February with their scholars. And it was really an incredible experience, some of the most outstanding rabbis I've ever met in my life, both in terms of their intelligence and their heart. We had amazing scholars that we studied with and wrestled with challenging questions. It was engaging, it was emotional. For many of us as rabbis who'd been serving communities over this past year, we were able to share how hard this year has been for us as the Jewish people and the kinds of moral dilemmas we've been struggling with and the kinds of difficulties we've experienced in our own community with anti-Semitism and discrimination. It was enriching. We laughed a lot, and we also cried a lot. But there were other places along my journey, and I want to share some of the other places that I was blessed in my journey. When I first got to Israel, I got to go to Tel Aviv for a peace event that was occurring. Yizman, it was called. The time has come, and we were in this large arena in Tel Aviv with peace groups from all over the country, Jews and Palestinians, saying the time has come to make peace. I was hoping that I would get to see some of my friends in the peace movement, and I did. I went to the Standing Together offices and went over to the arena with them, and then we all got split up as we went into the arena because we had different seats. And I thought to myself, well, it'll be nice to meet people later on, and maybe we'll go back to Jerusalem together. And as I walked into the arena, I bumped into my friend from Kibbutz Kissufim, who's living in Omer. Of all people, thousands of people, only in Israel, as we like to say, would I bump into my friend who would come all the way from Omer, and I'd come from Jerusalem, and we got to sit together. And then 2 weeks ago, I got to go down to the Dead Sea, and at the Dead Sea, it's not usually a place you like to go in July because it's quite hot. It was, I think, 105 degrees when we were down there. But that's where the residents of Kibbutz Kissufim have been living for the last 10 months. And Danny and I had an opportunity to have a community meeting and to listen to people and to hear their stories and to talk with them about their coming to visit us at Beth Emet. There are 9 of them who are really excited about coming to visit us over Sukkot in October, and we'll give you more details about that. But to meet these people who have endured so much and yet feel that there is some positive hope for the future, and who are so open and willing to share their stories with us, and so appreciative and grateful of the support that Beth Emet has given them over these last 10 months. And then last weekend in Omer, for that wonderful Shabbat service at the conservative congregation, and to be again with my friend Ela, who I'd run into at the peace event, to spend time with her and to meet her sons and her grandkids, and to get to go and see the place in Omer, the neighborhood where they will be living. In modern Hebrew, a freestanding house is called a villa. I know that sounds a little strange to American ears. And these prefabbed homes that they're building, they also call them caravans. But they put those 2 words together, and I got to go see, as I learned, the caravilot, the caravillas that the people will be living in. And I have pictures that I will share with people, and hopefully they'll be moving there in the next few weeks. And so we're just praying that the next stage of their journey will be filled with blessings, that they can settle down a little bit and not have to live in a hotel room any longer. And before we came to Omer, I finished my program last Wednesday, and Danny and I wanted to make sure that we got to see friends and family from around the country. And so, because the country is so small, we rented a car and started to drive. And our first stop was in Bethlehem to visit a Palestinian friend of ours. And as we arrived in Bethlehem, we were desperately trying to find a place to park. And this man came over to us to help us out, and so excited to see a tourist in Bethlehem. Could tell we were tourists, because there aren't any tourists right now, and our friend who's a tour guide has no work. And this man who's also a tour guide who just found these poor hapless tourists and found us a parking spot and brought us to his friend's shop and clearly wanted us to buy something, which of course we wanted to do. We wanted to support them as well. Hard to be in a place that's so economically depressed, and yet to be with a friend and to have lunch and to share that time together was so beautiful. And then we dashed off from Bethlehem to Beitar Illit, which is the largest ultra-Orthodox settlement. And who lives in Beitar Illit, which is very close to Bethlehem? Our nephew and our great-nieces and nephews. And so we got to go and we visited with them. And so we had this beautiful visit, and they were so excited because they don't get to see family very often. And we went into their home, and we got to play cards with our great-nieces and nephews who we'd only met one other time before that. And they're very excited that we knew Hebrew and could play this game in Hebrew with them. And it was just a wonderful time. And then after that, we got back into the car, and 2 hours later, we were up north visiting a friend of ours in a town called Shfa'amir, a Palestinian town that's right near Haifa. And as I was sharing with some people earlier this evening, as we got up to Yokneam, which is about 10 miles south of Shfa'amir, and Shfa'amir is just about 10 miles east of Haifa, all of a sudden I looked at my GPS and I said, "Danny, we're in the Beirut airport." And he said, "What?" And I said, I guess they're scrambling the GPS up here up north. And it looked like we were in the Beirut airport. So I had to quickly take a screenshot and try to navigate our way to Shfa Amr the old-fashioned way without GPS. But we got there, and despite the war, our friend had prepared this beautiful, beautiful meal for us, and we went on a nice walk in her community. So many ways that I felt blessed on the journey. In Jerusalem, in Tel Aviv, in Omer, in Shfa Amr, in Beitar Illit, in Bethlehem, and many other places along the way. I look forward to sharing more information and getting more into the difficulties and the complexities. But tonight, I'm just filled with so much gratitude for this community for giving me the opportunity to go and to be away and to study for the month. So much gratitude to be in Israel, that I'm always happy to be there despite the hardships and despite the difficulty, to be with family, to be with friends, to offer support, to learn, to grow, and to see ways that we can pursue peace and a better future for all. As we conclude the reading of a book of Torah, we say these words, Chazak, Chazak, v'nit chazek. May we be strong, and may we strengthen one another. May this be a blessing that is true for us here at Beth Emet. May it be true for all of the residents of Israel and for all of the residents of the Middle East. May there be strength, may we strengthen one another, and may we find peace and justice for all.